Welcome back to WD Magiccast for the week of November 19th, 2023. This is episode 243. Happy Thanksgiving, United States. WD Magiccast, the show about the mouse, the Marvels, the galaxy, and beyond. I'm your host, Matthew Graken. In this week's episode, Dave Gallman and I sit down and discuss our series review of Loki. Yes, season 2 of Loki was gifted upon us, or maybe cursed upon us, depending how you look at it. We will get into this. And we will sit down and discuss our thoughts of the series as a whole. Don't forget to join our social media on pretty much everywhere at WD Magiccast. Facebook, Twitter, Threads, X, YouTube, TikTok. And definitely check out the YouTube channel where all the episodes, minus a few, are available to you to check out. Speaking of checking things out, holiday season's upon us. Check out our TeePublic shop where we get some really cool WD Magiccast swag and stuff up there. Makes great gifts, keeps people warm, and helps out your podcast that you're listening to while you're at it. Links to all these are in the show notes. And on that bombshell, on with the show. Many people were waiting after the end of first season of Loki for the second season to come. And time has it, it took a little while to get here, but it got here and it's come and went. And we have to discuss it because we discuss things like this. That's part of the show. It's kind of natural. It happens. And the show had a lot to discuss, and to jump right into it, we need to bring in, like I said at the beginning, Dave Gallman to discuss it. Just like Loki pulling on the strings of the episodes, I'll leave that spoiler right there. We have Dave Gallman pulling on our heartstrings and pulling us into his deep thoughts and conversations. Dave, thank you for joining us.
Hello, Matthew. Once again, thank you for that lovely intro.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
Yeah, it's been what? When did season 1 come out? 2021? So it's been almost 2 years or whatever since we've seen him.
2 years since the God of Mischief and Mismanagement and 70s work style has graced our screens.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So yeah, it's I was excited for the season going into it. I'm not sure how you felt.
It was because there's been a ton of stuff that has come out lately, so it's like, okay, I'll hold off on that a little bit because I got other stuff I need to watch. But once I started watching it and it took off. Like I had to finish this one. When you told me, hey, you wanted to do the recap show, I had no issues gunning through these episodes because they kept it when it ended and you saw the credits rolling over, you're like, no, what? Let's go to the next one. So, and thankfully the episodes aren't that long. They were probably 45, 50 minutes long.
Yeah. So they were under an hour.
Yeah. So you can, if you wanted to, you could binge the whole thing relatively quickly. So, Marvel needed a win. Like, for me, I don't know. This was probably their best stuff in a long time. I mean, I could be wrong, but for me, this one was well written. There was a cool story to it. Bravo, Marvel, finally.
They definitely did a fantastic job of attention to detail, how they worked everything out. The story arc itself, it didn't feel like just a rehash of the previous season. It explored some new territories. To the best of my knowledge, it answered most questions. Things that it posed and set up at the beginning or from the last season, it did answer that. It took a lot of thought. It made people think and pay attention to the details and what's going on in the story and episode to episode, which is good writing.
Yeah, it's kind of like I compare it to Moon Knight. Like Moon Knight, you really had to pay attention to what was going on because you can get confused real quick with that. And same thing with this, like with all the stuff that was going on throughout it, you could be like, hold on, timeout. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I mentioned. I recently went back and started rewatching some of the episodes of Moon Knight, and as I'm sitting there watching, I'm just realizing or remembering how good this show was. And on its second viewing, a year plus later, that it still holds up. And it's, like I said, I've seen it, but I'm still enjoying it. It's not like, it's just on in the background. It's still pulling me in between the Oscar Isaac's acting job, the story, just kind of everything. It still pulls me in. It's still very enjoyable. It still holds up. It's still really good. In Loki season 2, I think is along that lines as well. Is still, it's well written that you go back and watch it, you're probably going to pick up on things that you didn't. In fact, knowing how it ends, going back to rewatch it, you may connect more dots as things go along, because there's still actually a couple things in my head that I'm like, why did this happen? But I think I know why, but it seems a little strange, but I think I understand it.
Yeah, to be honest, I went back and I rewatched probably half of the first episode of season 1 just to get a feel, like just to remember how he became the variant and all that stuff like that. Just because he's that now, but you're like, wait a minute, what actually happened? Because it's been 2 years, so I needed that refresher after I finished the season, and it like you said, it made sense then. I'm like, okay, there we go. That's answered that question for me. So because you might have to rewatch the season 1, you know what I mean, just to get you acclimated again.
Yep, because when friend of the podcast Matthew Berry was fighting with Iron Man to get the briefcase and knocked the cube out, the Tesseract cube,
that's right,
and it went flying across, and Loki got it. That's how we got to where we are.
Exactly.
So let's before we get into too much on the spoiler ends and start really dissecting things, overall series, season 1 and 2 together. No, sorry, season 2, just overall season 2.
Yeah.
Out of 10, how would you give it?
I enjoyed it. 9. I enjoyed it a lot. So
I'm right there with you. 9.5. Because like I said, there's a couple things I have to go back and probably rewatch to try and fully understand what happened. I'll pose those questions to you in a moment. But yeah, it's production level was fantastic. The addition of the characters that they brought in was really good. Like I said, it kind of wrapped things up on a whole. In itself, it was the self-contained story of season 2. Thought came across really well done. By the end, I was really pulled into it. I was really sucked into it, and I wasn't that disappointed with the last episode. Like a lot of times, the last episodes are downer. I didn't think that was the case with this one, and I was expecting it to be a disappointment episode. Like a lot of times before, we've always said, "Oh, the one before the last episode is the best one," or this episode was the best, and the last one's kind of just okay. They went one episode too far. I don't think so with this one. I started to feel that way at the beginning of it, but by the time we got to the end, I'm like, wow, this is just
No, if they were to end it, it was a perfect ending. You know what I mean? If it were to stop there, it didn't. It wasn't like the cliche cliffhanger ending. You know, I will say that. You know what I mean? Where you're like, really, what are we doing? So
they left it at a point, particularly for Loki, that it could be the last time we see Loki. It could be the last time in a while that we see Loki. We could see Loki in 2 or 3 movies. Yeah. It's a well-positioned exclamation point on his story.
Yes.
And we can go, we'll go from
there. I mean, I don't know if it's fair to say, but you can also maybe whatever movie comes out in the future, they can reference this series if Loki were to come back somehow. You know what I mean? Maybe the series will reference that, but then people might be lost in the theaters because they'll be like, "What? How did this happen?" But
But like say in Secret Wars that we need to go back and bring him back in. There's wiggle room for that. And if we never see him again, it it's a good ending point.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
we'll get into our more spoilery section now, I guess. So if you haven't finished watching season 2 of Loki, pause the cast here, go back and watch the rest of it. If you have finished watching it, join along with us.
Mm-hmm.
You have been warned, humans.
So, hey, with any good time traveling warping thing, this will mess with your brain, because it gets you thinking about what is going on.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, at first you see him moving back and forth, and you're trying to, what's going on? How come this? How come that? And then, okay, he's at different points in time of stuff happening. And a lot of that becomes much more relevant and apparent, unfortunately, towards the end of the series, because it's like, okay, we have this MacGuffin of him getting pulled back and forth through time.
Right.
And then that kind of went away for a couple of episodes. And then they kind of, oh, yes, this happens. And then they start bringing it back in. And then at the end, they explain the whole thing. And strangely enough, I was like, oh, well, that makes sense. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It wasn't like some sort of stupid write-off or something like that.
Yeah, it almost became like one of his powers. You know what I mean?
Yes.
At the end. But for me, it was like comical in some aspects too, because he'll just be sitting there chilling, talking to somebody, and then all of a sudden he does his little time slip and he's gone, and where am I now? And it's like, but I guess my biggest thing with in the beginning, it's kind of like the whole overall storyline. If he's a variant, okay, he's the original Loki. He got pulled from his timeline when he took the Tesseract. Okay,
right.
That's how he became a variant, and now he's on a separate strand than the main. What do they call the
sacred timeline?
Sacred timeline. He's now not on the sacred timeline because he's a variant. Now,
the sacred timeline of science.
If he never comes back to the sacred timeline, does Thanos never snap his neck? And the TVA now has the Tesseract. So how does Thanos get the other Infinity Stone? So that's where I'm like, huh? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I'm assuming the sacred timeline would be Loki stays there, he gets his neck snapped, Thanos cracks the Tesseract, gets the other Infinity Stone. But if they're out, the TVA is outside of the sacred timeline, right? Like they're hovering about, like watching all this stuff. So if he's off on a different strand, doesn't that mess up the whole entire what happens?
No.
How?
So, getting the Tesseract, that's the easiest one to answer. Getting the Tesseract, because they didn't get it at the end of the Avenger movie. So, whenever they're all going down at the bottom of the Stark Tower, and like, okay, we got it. And then Loki steals it, goes away. Remember, they didn't get it at that point. Since they lost at that point, they had to go back to the 70s to the military base in New Jersey and get the Tesseract from there.
Okay, but then that
so they still get the Tesseract.
Okay.
Now, as far as Loki ending up getting his neck snapped, they never answered that question, because that should be a question from Endgame, not from Loki.
Right. Exactly. No, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
So that part they never fully explained, unless if in the weirdness of timey-wimey wibbly-wobbly stuff, that since they defeated Thanos, but the Thanos that they defeated was the Thanos from the past, none of it actually happened.
That's what I'm saying. That's where this gets all wonky, because what they said was they get the variant and put them back to where they're supposed to be, so that the natural time of progression goes.
Well,
so, but they never put Loki
strands
back. Right. Yeah. They never put Loki back to where he was supposed to be. So I'm like, I'm like, that messes up everything.
Yeah, it gets a little wonky at times, and that's the problem with writing time travel, that not everything's always going to line up like a neat puzzle piece.
Right. And trust me,
Uh,
it didn't ruin it. It was just that was my main question that I had, like, when it was done. I'm like, that's weird, but whatever. No, it was still a good show.
like, who's taking care of Maurice's kids for this past 5,000 years?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And how can it be 5,000 years if he, the time period that they show him in is 1999 or something like that,
Yeah,
wherever
right,
it was.
right,
It's
right.
it wasn't that.
I wish with Mobius's character, I wish they would have showed, unless I missed it. I wish they would have showed how he became a variant, or what you know what I mean, because they never,
Right.
they just said he was, but unless I missed it from season 1 or something, or in here, I don't remember them making any mention other than he is a variant. So
That they're all variants, but they never really get into how and why, other than that he who remains somehow pulled them.
mhm. Yeah.
And then they fought in this time war.
Mhm.
But yeah, they never fully give you all the stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
And speaking of that, how good was Jonathan Majors? Right, that's his name.
yes.
He was, dude. You could tell he's enjoying this role. You know.
And that's why they picked him, because
Yeah.
he has to play so many characters, and he has the acting skills to play the different characters.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yep.
you're looking at the same actor, and between Kang the Conqueror, He Who Must Remain, Victor Timely, the other ones at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantum Mania, it's they're different characters. It's
Mm-hmm.
the same act. Like, a lot of times you see the same actor playing different roles, but it's the same
Yeah.
character. Yeah, it's like a lot of times okay, you're watching Bill Murray. Not to knock Bill Murray, but you see him in Ghostbusters, you see him in Stripes, you see him in Groundhog's Day, you see him in Caddyshack. It's variation on the character, but it's, for the most part, it's kind of that same
Yeah.
character, more or
Right.
less.
Kind of
Just
like the action heroes of the Stallone, Schwarzenegger. You knew what you were getting from them. It's kind of the same character, just different scenarios.
yeah,
But no, you could, like, totally different between He Who Remains and Victor Timely. Like, those, you could, like, they seem
nothing
like
alike.
two different characters. Same actor, two different characters.
Right, and that's why you say even throw King the Conqueror in there. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's a different character.
Yeah.
So that's why Marvel's kind of keeping their fingers crossed that they could still use him.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think they used him in this series because I think a lot of my complaints, especially with Ahsoka or Mandalorian, was they waited till like the last 2 episodes for the main bad guy to come out or whatever. I think they used him perfectly in this. Like, I didn't feel shortchanged with the main antagonist in here. Everybody, all their actors, I think they did very smart with this one. Everybody got the appropriate amount, in my opinion, the appropriate amount of screen time.
Yeah.
So kudos to them for that, because that doesn't happen that often.
No. And they bring back Miss Minutes.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of did good with her as far as what she was going to become, or did become. And right,
At the like, she's not gonna,
Renslayer.
yeah,
So
she's
they
not gonna
wrapped up
kill us.
her story. And they explored some different aspects of things, and kind of gave you the overall history of the TVA and how that
Mm-hmm.
came about, which I thought was really cool. Renslayer, they gave her backstory and a finishing point to her story, which worked out. It was interesting, because they showed you the non-variant version or their human, life on Earth version of the characters. And it's just kind of funny how certain things plug along.
Well, speaking of her, the Renslayer, Ravonna
Yes.
Renslayer, at the end there, when she was shown on the ground, she woke up, was on the ground, and then that purple, you see like the purple glow, and then something happened. Like they didn't. That was the only thing they basically didn't explain. Did you catch anything on that? Like what that was? Did I miss something?
No.
So we just left that unanswered.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking that has something to do with he who remains or one of his variants.
Okay.
Because a lot of his stuff is represented by purple.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my guess.
Okay. That would make sense. She called an Uber. He picked her up.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, yeah, just like you had the young version of him. At the end, they have him in that room, and the book doesn't drop.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so does that eliminate the TVA, and the TVA never happened? Like, yeah, it's kind of this whole weird paradox type of thing. But speaking of paradoxes, Ke Huy Quan.
Oh yeah.
What a brilliant performance.
Yeah. Welcome back. I mean, if he's been out there doing stuff, I missed it. But here, dude, he was good.
he brought such enjoyment, and how him and Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson all played off each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Was just absolutely fantastic. So
and when he met, and when that scene, we've talked about it with Jonathan Majors and him get together, and they were like fanboying each other. Man,
I want your autograph. No. Can you autograph my book? You wrote it, but you wrote it.
Yeah. Let's save the world first, and you guys get signed later.
Yes. Yeah, that it brought back the fun and the serious moments, and it wasn't trying to be stupid funny.
Right.
It was witty.
Yes.
It was witty, and it's humor. And just how it all kind of played out, and then there was just those moments. There was certain episodes that it just ends in such a cliffhanger way that you can't help but want to watch the next one, because it ends. You go, wait, what? Yeah. No, you can't end it like this.
Yeah. Like when the loom exploded or whatever, and then it ends like that, and you're like, no. Now let's watch the next one. That's I told you I had to watch, like, and it was late. I wanted to go to bed, but I'm like, let me watch the first 10 minutes and see what actually happens after that. And then I was like, okay, let's go. But him, remember, he goes with his the time slipping or whatever, where he finally mastered it. He's like trying to speed up everything so that they could fix the loom or whatever.
Yes.
And there was that one section where he was like, how long is it going to take me to learn what you know and what you know? They're like centuries. And you can just see Loki's face is like, oh, all right, here we go.
Get started.
Yeah.
And towards the beginning, if I remember correctly, to help solve the problem is he had to prune all of the other Loki variants.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that, right? If I'm remembering that correctly.
Well, he's the only one variant for Loki.
Yes, but there's the one point. This is episode, there's 6 episodes, 4 or 5. I want to say episode 4, where the TVA is getting shut down by Renslayer. She's attacking everything, and Loki and Sylvie are trying to get back to the where Obi and everybody is.
Mm-hmm.
And Sylvie has to take the elevator. Loki takes the stairs. And then there's a Loki that comes up to the elevator. And then he gets pruned by Loki.
Oh, that's right. I do remember that. Yes.
And that's the one part I'm like, he's like, I'll explain later.
He'll explain later, but he never did.
Yes,
he never
please.
he never explained, and he never pruned anybody else. So any other variants, or what? I know what you're saying now. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe secretly behind the scenes that they didn't show it.
Yeah, I don't. So that was like the one question that I had, and if any of you listeners out there have an answer or a theory or both, please let us know on our social networks at WD Magiccast, because I'm still pondering and that's the one thing that I'm really still truly pondering.
So you're wondering every time he slips back into the past, he has to prune the one that's there, so that there's not two of them.
No, because then at one point he's just re-inhabiting his bodies.
Right. Okay. Right. That's what I thought he was doing. He was just slipping back in. Right. So, yeah. I don't know. That didn't. You're right. That is an unanswered question.
Because the two were dressed differently, so I'm like, okay, is this like a bad Loki? What's going? I wasn't certain on that part.
Yeah.
But I do remember Obi saying, "It's oh well, he has to prune his other selves or something like that." Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm thinking, but even that doesn't make full sense to me. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, the overall arc of everything. Again, I thought it just took me in a lot of different directions. I wasn't expecting the series to go.
Mm-mm.
And yeah, again, all the actors and actresses did a fantastic job. The different places, the way that they took it. Yeah, I truly enjoyed the whole thing. And yeah, the episode 5, which was, I thought, very trippy,
mm-hmm.
but just a brilliant episode. And yeah, that was the one that like really, again, it's the second to last episode, really shined. But I wasn't disappointed by the 6th episode either. I didn't think six episodes were wasted.
Yeah, and some people in the beginning there might be, did we really need a Loki series or whatever? But after watching it, yeah, we did. It was good, and I think it's going to. I again, to mention the movies, I think it's going to tie in with the movies. So somehow, that's my guess, but only time will tell.
This is true. Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, because even the first one kind of had a tie-in into the movies. It introduced Victor Timely, He Who Must Remain, et cetera, the variants in the timeline and alternate stuff that's going on. And that's kind of now that's also crossed over into the movies, and we had King the Conqueror and Quantumania. So far, I haven't seen the Marvels, but from my understanding, that isn't directly related, but there is something about alternate universes colliding. If I remember going back.
So this had nothing to do with multiverses, correct? Like this was just timelines, threads off of the main timeline, right? Because I thought they mentioned something about the multiverse, but I wasn't. You know what I mean?
Right. Marvel's was multiverse. This is strictly timeline.
Strictly time related, right?
I guess it depends on how you look at it. Between what is a multiverse and what is a timeline.
Right. You could call a branch off of the main thing. A multi. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. An alternate universe because it's spreading out from. Right. That is going technically keep going. Yeah, that's it. That's a good question, and I don't have an answer for that one. No, I personally think that they're one and the same because the alternate universe is same universe, but different events have occurred at some point, and it's going in a different direction from the universe that you're in, which is why you have the different numbers, the 616, all the other ones, 527, all those different numbers, which all stem off from one, which is the main original timeline.
Yeah. So it was just you got to see him battle with, should he, let Sylvie kill, he who remains, or he kept trying to help Victor, fix the loom and everything. So there was just this whole big battle, and then this battle like mentally of trying to help everybody and actually fix it, which is kind of weird because he's portrayed as a bad guy, but here he is trying to do a good thing. Yeah. And then he ultimately sacrifices himself, I'm assuming, right at the end there, and
yes. He got he's burdened with glorious purpose, and he wants to ascend upon his throne. Well, he did that. He ended up on a throne with glorious purpose, but it's not what he wanted.
No. So now, how are
just the same?
Right. So how are we supposed to take what he is now? He's keeping the timeline in order, sitting on his throne. So that's so I'm assuming he's going to see everything and anything, because when they did the Mobius flashback of him going back to see what's up, they kind of panned back to, I don't know if he was smiling or whatever, but it kind of made it seem like he was aware that Mobius went back. So I'm assuming he could read all the timelines as well, or see what people are doing. Yeah.
That's my assumption, is that, he now can read the timelines and it knows what's happening, from here to there and everywhere in between. So it's that would be my assumption.
Yeah.
That's what he's burdened with now.
So going forward, I'm wondering, would he be able to somehow project himself, even though he's there? You know what I mean? If he's controlling, he has eyes on everything going on. Will he be able, in a future movie, will he be able to project himself to talk to people? You know what I'm saying? To help or not? I don't know.
If they wanted to bring him back, sure.
Yeah.
Well, because why not?
Yeah. He can use the Force project himself.
Yes. Now, as great of a job as Kwan did, and Tom Hiddleston and stuff, I don't think they did. Me personally, I don't think they did Sophie as much justice in this season.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really liked her character through season 1. This one, it felt like she was just kind of there, a little more annoying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because she was sour and all she wanted to do was kill Jonathan Majors. So,
as many women do, yes.
Like, her way was the way to go, and that's all she wanted to hear, man. So I can see that, but I was too focused on everybody else that she didn't really.
Well, that's what I'm saying. She was really just a side character at best.
Right.
She really, if she wasn't there less one episode, so they gave her one episode and she wasn't there the rest of them, until you bring her back to the more important parts of the last episode, would have you noticed?
Probably
would have changed the story at all?
No.
So I mean, she which is unfortunate because I like that character.
Yeah. I mean, because the way they had it is she did her job, she killed him, and she just wanted to live. Like she said, she just wanted to live. So if that's where if that's what they wrote with her character, I was fine with that because that's what that character wanted,
Right.
But Loki needed to, at that point of the show, he was at that conundrum where he had to stop her from killing He Who Remains. So
yeah, it's it's a weird conundrum. Sylvie, I keep calling her Sophie. Sophia is the actress. Sylvie is the character.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a weird conundrum, but towards the end, where she's with Owen Wilson's character at that very end moment, I'm like, okay, this is a nice moment, and is it possible we see more of her character elsewhere later on? Yeah, who knows? Will she become the new Loki in the MCU? Because there's always that possibility.
Yeah, true.
I guess that depends on contract negotiations.
Money talks.
Oh yes. Oh yes, it does. How about you? Was there any characters that you thought kind of became superfluous or not quite as prominent?
No, because like I said, to me, it felt like everybody got what the screen time they needed. So there wasn't why was that character there? Or, you know what I mean? So, and there was no cameos either that I saw of just to show their face in a Marvel show. There was no cameo. So,
no, not really. Was there?
I mean, if there was, I missed it.
No, I don't believe that there was. No, like obscure. No real obscure characters that just kind of just like, oh, I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no.
So what is coming down the pike now? Like, do you know what the next Marvel, not movie, but series is?
Yes.
What do we got?
Echo.
Echo, that's right. Oh, yep. That's the one off of the Hawkeye.
Right? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Which will be the first TV rated M for mature content due to the graphic nature of the violence and blood, which they even just in the previews they show you plenty of.
Nice.
But that supposedly that is a relative. They're starting these things. I forget what they're calling them, but kind of a one-off, where it's a standalone thing. It kind of, you don't need to see the 150 things otherwise, even though you do kind of need to see Hawkeye to understand this whole thing. But besides that, it's not going to really be linked into the greater MCU. It's kind of going to be its own thing. Supposedly Agatha is going to be, or whatever, the Covenant Chaos or whatever they're calling it now, will be kind of its own thing, kind of almost like how Werewolf by Night is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe to a slightly lesser effect, because since these characters are spin-offs of another show, so if you want to know them, you kind of need that connection. But I guess technically you could go in without having to know that, but then you'll kind of wonder why the Kingpin has patches over his eyes, or his eye. So they're trying to give you content without making you watch 30-something movies.
Yeah. Yeah, at this point, that's a big ask.
So we have that. We have Deadpool 3 coming out next year.
Mm-hmm.
The Agatha series will come at some point. I think right now they're looking towards the end of next year, but that one keeps getting kind of pushed along.
Yeah. I'm assuming everything, because of all the strikes and stuff, that a lot of stuff got pushed off. So
yes,
unless it was already in the can by some miracle before.
Right. Well, that's the thing with Deadpool 3. It was about 50% shot.
Yeah.
So it's mostly done. Where with Captain America, I think they were just starting principal photography or something like that. So that's why that's coming out later. And things got shifted around more. But yeah, the writer's strike and everything else kind of really hampered the plans of what's going on. But yeah, we'll get a little reprieve of Marvel stuff next year. We'll get some stuff, but not as much.
Yeah.
And then we're going to get slapped in the face with 3-4 movies the next year.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, I think, I don't know if people are suffering from, superhero fatigue or whatever, but it might be a good, give everybody a pause for a minute. And then.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily superhero fatigue. I think Marvel just needs to kind of go back to its experimental roots that it was doing towards the beginning, because each movie was almost like a different genre style movie, where now it's kind of more all along the same line of movie. There isn't a truly different style between each one's like there was, and they have a lot on their plate now. You become more successful. The audience demands more. All right, we're going to give them more, and eventually you kind of stretch yourself a little thin there. So you have to find that balance. And then you get these other studios that attempt to make superhero movies, or what they call superhero movies, that don't do as well and kind of muddy the waters, because it's like, oh, it's another superhero movie. Look at this, because look how bad these are. So if these ones are bad, they all must be this bad.
Shots fired.
I did not mention any studios' name, Sony DC. I did not say anything.
I know. They're struggling, man. They're struggling.
Yes. Did you see the preview for Madam Web?
Oh my God. Yes, I did. And that movie needs help.
That looks like that needs to be direct to streaming somewhere.
Yeah.
To me, it almost looked like a CW show.
Yeah. I could. Yeah. It like I can see where they go. It kind of looks like Spider-Man with Venom, because it's from Sony, right? So it looks like they were trying to combine like a Venom kind of style with Spider-Man and all that, and it doesn't look like it's going to be good at all.
So, point taken.
Yes, don't see that one. No, don't see it. But we warned you. It looks bad.
Hey, if you want to go see it, go right ahead. Support people's work, and I have no problem supporting people's work. Just, I prefer more complete work.
Yes.
And speaking of more complete work, so overall, Loki, I think it was a huge success.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was like I said, Marvel. For me, I've been nitpicking, a lot of their latest stuff, but I couldn't complain about this one. This was actually pretty good. So
yes, I wasn't getting grumpy, angry Dave texts. What is this? Oh, what are they doing? Oh, here they go again. Oh my god.
Yeah.
What's wrong with them? Oh my goodness, I've seen better film in bathtubs.
Matthew couldn't wait until Ahsoka was over, boy, because there was a lot of complaints coming out of that one, but but hey, it is what it is.
Yes. So, thank you so much for joining along. We forgot our MVP character.
MVP character.
Yes. Who is our MVP of this series?
I got it.
Season 2.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer, Obi.
I'm going the same way.
Yeah.
I just the moment that he popped up on the screen.
Yeah.
And just the way that he went about everything. It's like, we met before, and I said hi, did I? No, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
I'm sure I remembered you. Yeah, that's what you said last time.
Yeah, no, he definitely, he shined in this one. So obviously everybody's opinion is going to be different, but for me, he nailed it.
Yeah, absolutely. Obi was, I think, a breath of fresh air to the series, and definitely helped everything along. And I did not see too much of him. I would be venture to say I probably did see enough of him.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
even wherever you had the non-variant time agent version of him, TVA version of him, he was absolutely brilliant. And again, he brought that character in a slightly different way. But he portrayed him, which just was great.
Yeah, agreed.
So, all right, there we have it. Thank you very much, Dave. And we will be talking soon.
You got it. Thank you.
Thank you again, Dave. And make sure to join our conversation. Let us know, what did you think of Season 2 of Loki on the social medias that I mentioned earlier before. Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, you name it. We are out there at WD Magicast. Make sure to check out the show on YouTube as well. If you want to leave us a voice message, you can do this through the Spotify podcast website or app. And send us a voice message, be heard on the show yourself. Links to all these are in the show notes. We want to thank you for your time. We know how little time you all have these days, and the fact that we get to spend some of this time together truly means a lot to me, to us over here at WD Magicast. I cannot thank you enough. But please go to Apple Podcasts, go to Spotify, and leave us a rating and review. We have all 5-star reviews at the moment, but we need more. The more reviews that we get, particularly the 5-star variety, but I'm not trying to sway anybody, but the more reviews that we get, the more that those sites will promote our show. Speaking of promoting our show, you could also please share out a link to this episode or whatever episode you would like on social media network, and please make sure to tag us so we can thank you personally. But share it out on social networks or tell your friends about it. Check out WD Magicast. They do some really interesting things over there. I think you will enjoy yourself. The more people in this Disney family, the better. Walt believed in a big Disney family, and so do I. Don't forget to subscribe to the show. This way you always know when new episodes are posted. While you're at it, consider becoming a premium subscriber. You can do this over also at SpotifyPodcast.com. Links to this is on the website as well, or check out our TeePublic store. Like I mentioned at the top of the show, it's holiday time. Get yourself some cool hoodies, t-shirts, coffee mugs, travel mugs, throw pillows, a lot of cool stuff on there that you can get as gifts for others or gift to yourself. All that still works, and you help out one of your favorite podcasts as well. Because remember, this show is brought to you by listeners like you. In Japan, broken objects are often repaired with gold. The flaw is seen as a unique piece of an object's history, which adds to its beauty. Consider this the next time when you feel broken. From Anonymous. Never give up. Never give in on yourself. Be your own hero. Let your light shine for the world to see, because you are unique. You are special. There is no one else like you, but that is for a good reason, because the world needs someone like you in it. Now I'd like to end this week's show with a quote from Walt Disney himself. Caution there must be, of course, along with venturesome courage. The motion picture business has long been a chance-taking business. This doesn't mean timidly in planning and operation. Again, that's from Walt Disney. Thank you again for listening, everyone, and I'll see you next time.